donation items. I'm going to pick up Marianne's gift that I got for her. Normally I make her something handmade, but her husband, Donnie, let me know that there was something that she really wanted that I happen to have and I knew exactly where to get it. So I called and they held it for me, and I went and paid for it last week, and today I'm going to go pick it up because I need my truck. It's a wagon. It's a feed wagon or a farm wagon, a little garden wagon like what I have, like I bought to use for the fair. And right now the cats are sleeping in it. But anyway, so I am headed to town. I'm going to drop off the donation things that I made. I also need to head the other direction I'm going to Morrilton for all that, and then I need to head the other direction to Russellville because I need to take the Nguyen's their gift. I always give them some of my beef for Christmas because I know they'll use it. They cook with it. They're very good cooks, and so I want to take that to them. And also, if they're not just covered up, I need to get my nails done while I'm there. And then I think I may, since I'll already have my truck, I may go ahead and see if Marianne's going to be around and go ahead and give her wagon a day early, because that way I don't have to drive my truck back to town tomorrow. Because as you can imagine, my truck is not very fuel efficient. And so I don't like to drive it I don't drive it just for funsies. I drive it because I need to drive it for either where I'm going because of the terrain, or because I'm hauling something or pulling a trailer. Anyway, so yeah, that is pretty much the agenda for this morning. And then when I get home, I want to continue pruning on my fruit trees, and I need to record the new fruit trees. I've got a book that I write down the different varieties that I've planted, and I need to do a little bit of research because one of my apples has not been performing very well, and I think I mentioned this on a podcast. It's a Honeycrisp, and I bought it, 5 years ago before Honeycrisps really got super popular. And now they say it's not supposed to do well down here in my zone. It's too hot for it. So that's part of the reason why it's not thriving. But also, apparently I didn't get the right pollinators for it. So I had attempted to order a pollinator species this fall, and then that order got canceled. I don't know if they didn't have them or what was going on, but for whatever reason they weren't able to get me that one. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research and figure out, I need to order a variety that will pollinate that Honeycrisp, because it's not doing me any good if it's not getting pollinated. And that might perk it up a little bit. Anyway, so I am headed to town, and we'll see what we get up to today. So happy 23rd day of Vlogmas. We're almost at the finish line. So I got Marianne's garden wagon loaded up there. And y'all might be wondering why that diesel says off-road. It's because if it's for farm use, it's not taxed. So to keep people from using it in their vehicles that they drive, like trucks and cars and stuff, they dye it pink. And supposedly, although I've never heard of this happening to anyone, if they pull you over, they can test your diesel. And if they find dyed diesel in a non-farm vehicle, you can get fined. I've never heard that happening. But because anything you buy for agricultural use, you don't have to pay sales tax on it. So like my feed and stuff for the horses and the cows and the rabbits and stuff, that's farm use, so I don't pay tax. But if I buy dog and cat food, that's not farm use, so that's taxed. But anytime I have maintenance done on my vehicles, part of the reason I bring them here is the main reason I bring them here is they treat me really well and they're good to me. And I really like the people here, and I know that the work will get done right. But the other reason is if I bring my truck in for an oil change or for tires or batteries, since this is a farm vehicle and that's what it's used for, I don't have to pay tax on any of that. which is nice. Saves a little bit of money. But anyway, I just thought y'all might wonder why that signage was on the diesel pump there. So now I've got everything loaded up. I am headed to drop these things off at Brookridge Cove. I'm always nervous when I do this because I'm thinking, what if they don't want them? I know I'm sure that will not happen, but you know, you put yourself out there, it makes you a little nervous. Anyway, I'm headed down the road to do that, and I'll check back in with y'all later. Okay, so I got my little bag of things dropped off. I haven't talked about a lot why I picked this place out, but this was where my mom was at after she got sick, and they were very nice to her here. They were good to her here. I hadn't talked a whole lot about it, but my mom was doing really well after my dad died. She was starting to perk up and go do the senior citizens place thing and do like pay bingo and stuff. And she got sick with a UTI, and I knew that's what it was. And the lady that would take her to get her hair done on Fridays was a nurse, was a retired nurse. And I said, well, you know, she's got a UTI. Can you take her to the clinic and see if they can work her in? And I don't know exactly what happened. All I know is Jeannie, the lady who went with my mom, had me on the phone, and I could hear this nurse in the background yelling at my mother, telling her there was nothing wrong with her, that she needed to just go home and have some coffee. And I kept saying, I can tell she's got a UTI. I know what this is. Please just give her some antibiotics. They wouldn't do it. And they wouldn't even see her. And, you know, she sat there for 4 hours. They wouldn't even see her. And so they sent her home saying, you know, she needs to just take her AFib medicine or whatever, and she'll be fine. Well, by Sunday morning, this was on a Friday, and by Sunday morning I couldn't wake her up. And I took her to the my neighbor, who is a nurse, said, take her to the emergency room and tell them that she's having chest pains, and they'll take her right in. And and she was septic. The UTI had gotten to the point where she had sepsis. And I know that sepsis can sometimes trigger dementia, and I think that that's what happened, because she never completely came back to herself. She'd have times when she was okay, but most of the time she wasn't, and it was pretty clear she was not ever going to. She was in the hospital, and then they sent her to a rehab facility, and they said, well, where do you want to go? Someone had recommended this place. In fact, the reason I found out about it is a woman that I went to high school with, who had been a hospice nurse at the time my father died, was now the director of nursing down here, and she recommended this place. And I'm really glad that she did, because it's a nice, it's cheerful. They have a facility dog. You know, you just walk in and it's not depressing like a lot of these places can be. And the intent was for her to go to this place until she recovered enough to go home. And the longer that she was there, the more, you know, the more apparent it was she was never going to be able to go home. And then probably from the sepsis issues, some things happened, and she very suddenly one day, over the course of like a day and a half, crashed and died. Not here. They had sent her to Conway Hospital for some things, and she died. Kind of very unexpectedly. The people here were very nice to her. They were very kind. They were always nice to me. You could just tell they enjoyed their jobs. They were, you know, and I realize a lot of the people who work at these places don't get paid nearly enough for what they do, but I think this place probably does a good job of taking care of its employees as well as its as its clients. I've brought Gusty down a couple of times to let them see her, you know, and had some great stories about people having had horses when they were younger. I hesitate to even talk about the charity work I do sometimes, because then I feel like it's not really charity if you talk about it. But also too, I want to encourage people to do things, you know. So there's this balance between, I don't want to be a braggart. I don't want to talk about it like I'm trying to build myself up, because I'm not. But I want people to know that they can do just little, you know, some little something for somebody, you know, means a lot. And you know, I don't think anybody should ever be forgotten. And I feel like that at some of these places, sometimes people are forgotten, not by the facility people, but by family maybe, or maybe their family is far away and they can't get there. So I want people to know they're not forgotten. Sorry. Anyway, I just hesitate to talk about it because I don't want people to think I'm trying to brag or say, oh, look at all this good stuff that I do, because I'm not. I just want to encourage people to, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be just something small, you know, and a card, or just, I don't know. Anyway, there's always good that you can do in this world if you look for it, and it doesn't have to be a huge grand gesture. Small gestures are just as valuable. You know, small gestures are just as valuable to the person that they affect. So I encourage you to find that spirit. Anyway, I'm done in Morrilton. I'm headed to Russellville, and gonna go take the Nguyen's their gift, and maybe see if Marianne's around and take her present. So, well, I've made it home from running my errands. It's a little bit before noon. I've had some lunch. I just grabbed something in town because I'm gonna make myself. I think I'm gonna make meatloaf and scalloped potatoes for supper tonight. So I went and got my nails and pedicure done. That's my one kind of girly indulgence that I have, is I do like to have a pedicure and have my nails done. That's one thing that sort of my luxury that I allow myself, besides my craft supplies. I went by and saw them. I wanted to take the Nguyen's their gift, and Kay gave me some egg rolls. They always make egg rolls for their certain customers every year, and I really enjoy him getting to know them. Their oldest daughter was in my class, and I was looking for a new nail place, and she was telling me that her parents had a place, and she had called and said, you know, Dr. Burris got a farm. She needs really tough nails, and their nails have always held up really well for me. And we've become friends. You know, they've come out and gotten compost for their garden, and John likes to garden a lot, so he likes to come out and get compost. And then their little dog died, and I let them bury her out here because they wanted to bury her, and they live in town, so they couldn't really do it in town. So I let them bury her out here at my place, which was really sad, but I'm glad that I was able to do that for them. And they've always taken really good care of me, and she gets me noodles and tells me how to cook different Vietnamese dishes and stuff like that. So I'm very grateful for them. I'm watching this truck. I live at a dump off spot, and anytime I see a truck pull up around the corner and stop, I get very suspicious because I'm afraid they're dumping out a dog or a cat. So we may just ease on down there and check it out. But anyway, she was telling me I'd made her a scarf a couple years ago. And it was one of those, it's been several years ago. It was one of those where you had it made the curly Q yarn. I forget what that stuff's called, but, and she really loved it. And she said that she had worn it to an event, and someone took it. So I told her I'd make her another one. I don't know if I can still find that particular color of yarn, but I can make her another one, or I'll find one to make her. But anyway, so I'm home and I've got feed to unload, and I want to try to get some stuff done out in the yard, although right now I've kind of hit an ebb. So I don't know if I'm going to get as much done outside today as I would like. I'm kind of I've got company. One of the turkeys is over here on the other side. I can see him in my rear view mirror. I don't know if y'all can see. I'll turn it around and see if you can see him. He's looking in the mirror. Oh, feed delivery truck is here, so he's like, hey lady, you got some feed for me? Anyway, so I'm gonna try to get some stuff done around. Maybe once I get moving I'll feel more like getting stuff done, but I'm gonna at least unload this feed and get that done, and then we'll see what else we get up to this afternoon. So what are you doing, Reese's Pieces? What are you doing, Reese's Pieces? Huh? What are you doing? Are you showing me your pretty tail? Oh, you're such a handsome boy. Hi, pretty girl. You want a French fry? Oh, what's that? You don't know, do you? Hi, Reese's. Hi, Reese's. You want a French fry? Oh, you're just walking around showing out, huh? Hey guys, okay. You enjoying your hay bale? Yeah? Y'all glad to be home? Y'all have decided to all be friends again now, huh? Yeah? Yeah? Y'all need another bale of hay soon, won't you? Hi guys, glad to see all of you. Yes, I see all of you. I don't have anything for you. Y'all decided to all be friends? Hi, kiddos. You gonna come up and speak? Hi, sweetie. I don't have anything. I don't have chips. You didn't have to be rude about it. Hi, guys. You glad to be home for a few days? I see you've been back in the pond. Hi, babies. I don't have anything for anybody, just love. All I've got is love today. All I've got is love today. Y'all got a bale of hay. Yeah, you got a bale of hay. Are you being crabby because this is your domain and you don't like sharing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. They're going to go back to their hay bale. You know I love you. You know I love you. Hi, Mama. Hi, Mama Angel. How are you? How are you? Yes, I see you. Chips is not wanting me to pick. Oh, good boy. Is that an itchy chin? Is that an itchy chin? Oh, yeah, I see that boy. Him a good boy. There's enough love for everybody that's up here. Don't worry. You know I love you. You know I love you. Hi, Trixie. Hey, Trixie. What? I see you. I see you. Nobody could miss you. Nobody could miss you. I'd feed y'all in the pans, but y'all keep hiding them from me. I found 3 of them in the brush pile and 2 of them in the water tank. I appreciate you trying to wash your dishes after dinner, but then I can't find them. Well, I'm going around filling up bird feeders. Mostly I feed black oil sunflower and soot. I do occasionally get some safflower seeds and some thistle seeds. I'll start putting out more thistle seeds now that I'm starting to see the goldfinches come around. They like the thistles. I also put out like apple cores or raisins or sometimes peanuts if I have them. And I also feed my squirrels. I don't get a lot of squirrels in my front yard just because the dogs barking I think scares them away. But I've got several different feeders around the yard. My mom enjoyed feeding the birds, so I do too. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep filling my feeders. It's quite a warm day here. In fact, I'm actually very warm in this long sleeve t-shirt and sweatshirt. But you can see the bees are out flying, which is not good because there's really not a lot for them to feed on. But this hive has got sugar on their doorstep, and my other hive that I still have has got sugar. And then I put sugar on some of the hives that I lost this year just to give them somewhere else to go to get feed. And there's bees at all of these spots getting the sugar, so at least I'm ensured they're getting something to eat. I'm going to try to get at least 3 more nukes next year, which are the starter hives, and fill these ones up that I've got here. I've got actually setups for 2 more hives in the garage, but I'd like to get to 10, but I'm just struggling to have a hard time getting past 5 or 6. You know, and I try to do what you're supposed to do to take care of them, but maybe I'm overlooking something. So I'm going to go back to the beekeeping meetings and maybe get some advice, because I lost that hive there. I've still got this one. I've still got this one, and then I've got those 2, and there used to be one right here, but I took it apart and put it up. So I'd like to get, you know, 10 or 11, 10 or 15 or so. I think maybe 5 is as many as I want to put back here in the backyard. And then I'll put some over in the orchard area. I'll put 2 or 3 over there. And then maybe put some more just around different places in the yard. I have to think about the people who mow for me, though. He's allergic to bee stings, so I don't want to put him anywhere where he gets close. They don't bother you. You can see I'm standing fairly close to these. And the only way they get aggressive is if you get right up beside them. And they don't like it if you're dressed in dark colors, which I am today, if you get up close to them, because they think you're a bear. So over here I shouldn't have any problems at all. So I'm going to fill up these bird feeders and then go on and feed the cows. Well, the yarn came to finish Miss Betsy's little gingerbread man. And then some needles for my sweater cast on have come. So that's the last pair I needed to do that flax. And then I got a seed catalog too, Shumways. I like the style of this catalog. It's like an old school catalog. I like the old style, so I'll enjoy looking through this too when I get a minute this afternoon. But anyway, so I'm gonna got to air up the tire on my tractor again. That front tire is low again. It must have a hole or something in it, so I'll have to deal with that at some point. But I'm gonna get going here and feed. Okay, well, I've got to air the tire up on my tractor because it's flat as a flitter again. There must be something in that front tire to cause it to do that. And I also need to air the tires up. I've got a low tire on the front of my truck, looks like too. And I need to air up the tires on my wheelbarrow. So I'm going to do all that right now while I've got the air compressor out and have it charged up. And then a lot of people have been talking about their Christmas Eve cast on. I hadn't really given it a lot of thought, honestly, because I don't want to get too much started. But I was kind of thinking about maybe swatching for my flax. Does that count? I might swatch for my flax and see. I ordered the size of needles that the pattern calls for, and for anyone who knows me, that's probably not going to work because I'm a loose knitter. So I have a feeling that the smaller size is going to be what I end up using for the bigger size. But I want to swatch. I'm going to swatch with the smaller size first and see what I get. And if that gives me the right gauge for what I should be getting for the bigger size, then I'll just order 2 sizes down from that. We'll see. I may decide. I have the hoarfrost cowl and that really pretty tweedy yarn that I got from Chicken Coop Dye Works that I think would make a beautiful hoarfrost cowl. So I may wind that and cast that on too, but I need to see what kind of whips I've got, because I know I have. Well, we'll just go through them this afternoon after I get done outside. How about? That'll be fun for us to do together. Yeah, so that'll be something crafty related for everybody that doesn't like all the farm stuff. Here's my notebook that I write my stuff down in, and so I keep track of my trees. So like this was all I had planted initially, and then I've added some that I actually need to write in here, like my fig trees and my quince trees. But my apple trees were planted here. And so as you're looking from the house, I've got a Honeycrisp, a Golden Delicious, an Arkansas Black, Granny Smith, and Cinnamon Spice. So that's the ones that are right out there. But I need to add in the one I planted this fall, plus my other pear trees and my other fruit trees. So I'm going to do that today. I got my book updated. I got my book updated except for the cranberry bushes, which I haven't planted yet. I haven't quite decided where I want to put them, so I'm keeping them in the house. Anyway, I'm going to prune on a couple more of these apple trees, I think, today. And that's going to be pretty much all I do outside. So I'm pleased with that effort if I get that done today. Even though they usually mean something's dead is around, they're incredibly graceful. They like to soar on the afternoon thermals here. If you'll watch them, they barely flap their wings, because in the afternoon, as the air heats up close to the ground finally, it'll start rising up and they'll catch these thermals. These are turkey vultures. Mostly, yeah, they look all like turkey vultures. You can tell by the white on the underside of their wings. There you go. People call them buzzards, but actually we don't have any true buzzards here. But you see the white on the underside of their wings. They're just soaring around on those thermals, enjoying a fun afternoon. Okay, so I got all of the fruit trees pruned that needed it this year. I did the apples, the quince, the nectarines, and the pears. And the new ones won't need it for a while. They come pre-pruned by the Starks Brothers company, so I pruned them out as well as I think I can, knowing what I know. My knowledge is fairly limited, but I try to learn all the time. And I bundled all the sticks up to give to my rabbits, so they'll have plenty of apple stick chews and other fruit tree stick chews for a while. I know some people use that stuff in their smokers too. I don't happen to have a smoker, but they use the apple wood and the peach and the pear wood in their smokers. But anyway, so I'm pleased that I got all of them done, and I've dumped the wheelbarrow, and I've bundled up the good sticks for the rabbits. So I think what I'm going to do now is go in and start making my supper. I want to make a meatloaf and scallop potatoes for supper tonight. And then while that's cooking, I'm going to go through my whips and see what I've got left that I need to finish. I know I've got the Marine Life blanket, which is kind of a long-term whip that I'm going to use in my How Do You Eat an Elephant make-along next year. And then I've got, I know I have a hat and a pair of socks and a shawl, 2 shawls that are active, and a cowl. So I'm gonna kind of go through those and see where I'm at on them and kind of evaluate them, and then we'll decide if I want to do a Christmas Eve cast on, or if I want to try to just finish some things I've already got started. I don't want to get too much started, because then I'll be like, I don't remember what I was working on. So we're going to go in and work on that. Okay, so realizing the light is not, well, let's see. Realizing the light is terrible right here on me. It's pretty okay for the whips that I have. So I'm just going to show you my whips that I have, what I would consider my active whips. I have some things that I have bagged up and ready to go, but I wouldn't say I've really started them. I got overly ambitious for a cast-along thing and didn't get everything finished. So the first thing is Miss Betsy's Gingerbread Man towel. I've got the yarn today to finish this. So I'll probably try to knock this out tonight or tomorrow. So that's the first thing I've got. Then I've got my Undercurrent socks by Kirsty. Kirsty's Undercurrent Grenade Creations socks. Undercurrent. There, you can see those that I'm knitting out of a sock blank. about 2 inches away from being ready to turn the heel on those, so those wouldn't take long to get finished if I would just put some time in on them. Then I have, hope I haven't dropped any stitches. I have my curly horse hat by Cindy from Sabito. I think Cindy is her name, from Sabito Farms. I've got my curly horse hat. I'm maybe a third of the way done on it. There's the chart, and I'm like here. So maybe, yeah, probably a third of the way done. I'm halfway done before you get to the decrease part. So again, would not take long if I would sit down and work on it. Yeah, so I'm going to sit that as a possible thing to work on tonight because I really want to get that done. Then I have my doily, my swirl doily that you saw that I was making out of the book. I'm about halfway through it, so there's my doily. About halfway through it. I think I'm on row 15 out of 28. Then I have my Calaveras shawl, which was part of the Celtic Year Shawl Club. It started last Halloween, and I am just barely started on it. I think I'm 25 rows in, so I'm not very far on it. I've got my Wadsworth cowl, which is I'm knitting out of the Shave 'em to Save 'em yarn. It's supposed to be 5.5 inches, and I think this is about 2, so I'm not halfway, a little less, about a third of the way, we'll say, on it. I have my snowflakes. I am working on the 6th out of 12. I'm not even going to drag them all out, but I'm working on the 6th out of 12 on it. So right now I'm working on I'll show you the one I'm making. I'm making this one, the Bistromath one. And I've made 2 of these diamond sets and 1 triangle, so I'm like a third of the way or a quarter of the way around on it. My dragon, my water dragon, I've got his front arms and his back legs made, and that's it. So I need to spend some time working on him. And then my changes shawl, which y'all saw on the podcast, but I need to start section C on I've completed the B section and the waffle texture, and now I need to get ready to put stitches on hold and complete section C. So yeah, so those are my active whips. So honestly, I'm not going to do a Christmas Eve cast on. I've got too many things here that are close to being done. So I'm going to try to finish. I think what I'm going to do, I'm taking the snowflake because I know I can finish it pretty quickly. I'm going to take the doily and the gingerbread man won't take me any time. So I'm going to take the gingerbread man, the hat, the horse hat, the snowflake, and the doily, and try to get those worked on this evening. I'm done with my outside chores, so I'm pretty well in for the rest of the evening. So I'm not going to do a Christmas Eve cast on. I'm going to do let's finish some stuff. I don't want to get too many things started. I've got this shawl that's barely started that I want to work on, and I've got this dragon that I'd like to get done, and of course this cowl. But I'm going to take those 4 things in with me tonight and try to get those finished up. So yeah, and I've got a little more yarn I need to document. I didn't buy anything, I just didn't get it all documented, so I'm going to try to work on that too. So I've eaten my supper, finishing up. Here, of course, Smiley's got me spotted, seeing if there's anything left. And I'm just looking through my seed catalog here, looking at the flower seeds. Deciding, you know, kind of picking out maybe things that I'd like to try next year. I always love cosmos. They grow really well down here. Cosmos and zinnias are my two go-tos, and of course sunflowers as well. But I would really like to try to grow some hollyhocks. They've got this funny version called Outhouse Single Mix. I guess you planted them by the outhouse to hide it. And they had a couple other things that I thought looked interesting too. The 4 o'clocks, they've got an interesting variety of 4 o'clocks. So I might get some of those also. But anyway, so I'm just kind of picking through, looking through the catalog. My great aunt had these cleomes, or spider plants. She had those. And I've grown moonflowers before. I really like them. I like lupins, or lupins, but they don't grow very well here. I think it's just a little bit too hot for them. But anyway, so I'm just kind of picking through, looking at the flowers and looking at the seeds. And of course, they've got roses, and they've got some perennials also. So, yeah. So I enjoy looking through there and seeing what they've got. So I think I'm going to put my dishes up and fix myself something to drink and find something good to watch here and work on some knitting. Okay, so I am working on my hat, and I'm watching QI, and I'm watching an older series of it. I'm watching the Series N, which is it's a British panel show. It used to have Stephen Fry, and now it has Sandy Toksvig on it. And I love it. It's hysterical. And this one is one of my favorite ones. It is the Christmas show from 2016. And they're playing a game called Are You There, Moriarty? And it is the silliest thing I've ever seen. I have laughed so hard and so loud that I have alarmed the dogs. Oh, me. So, anyway, so I am working on my hat this evening. I'm going to see how far I get on it. I've got about 4 rows on it so far. So I'm making pretty good progress. So I'll check back with you guys before I go to bed. Well, I've just been watching some Amazon Prime video and working on my hat. And I've put on several rows. It's going pretty quickly. So I'm happy about that. Hopefully I can get it done in the next day or two. That'd be really great. I am, let's see, I showed you where I was at earlier. So now I was down here where the red marks were when I started tonight. So I've done all these rows. So I'm up right here, starting on the horses' faces. The outside horses are down a little bit lower, so I'm actually working on their faces. And yeah, and then the crown increases start up there. So anyway, so I'm really tickled with how it's coming along, and I'm going to work on it some more, and I think that's where I'm going to call tonight at an end. So, yeah, so have a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.